As we prepare for the launch of Klever Chain mainnet, the Klever Foundation is excited to announce the Klever Global Hackathon. Klever will host a series of hackathons in 2022 to promote and provide Klever Chain solutions to all our users. During the hackathon, teams will be able to interact with our development team to ask questions and learn how easy it is to create Klever Chain applications. The hackathon takes place every quarter in 2022, and for the first edition, registrations are open until June 1st. The total prize pool for the hackathon is 30 million KLV, divided into several core categories. Explorer, develop new solutions for the Klever Chain Explorer. ICO and Marketplace, build a revolutionary marketplace for Klever Chain. Game and NFT, build your own game and NFT on Klever Chain as proof of concept. Innovation, be creative and use Klever Chain to create solutions. Content creators, produce content like articles, videos, images, posts, and stories for the global Klever community. Bugs and security bounty, report bugs and security issues. For more details, visit the link below. We are super excited to see all of your hackathon contributions and make sure to get ready for explosive Klever months ahead. Welcome everybody to yet another episode of Klever Live, where we take you deeper into the world of Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, and of course, the Klever ecosystem. The market is in turmoil. Terra and Luna and UST has blown up, and we're going to touch upon that today, of course. It's not easy being through these kind of cycles if you haven't been through them before. Crypto goes up, it goes down, it usually goes up again a lot more. So just hodl, stay calm, stay level-headed, and usually things work out pretty well. Make sure to submit all of your applications and your projects to the Klever Hackathon. You saw the video before, and applications are open until June 1st, and we have 30 million KLV in the prize pool. So make sure to do that. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends and family, and let's get to our guest today. His name is Brad Cam. He is the co-founder of one of our partners, Unstoppable Domain, which is the industry-leading NFT domain name provider and gateway to Web3. Prior to launching Unstoppable Domains in 2018, Brad co-founded and was the CEO of Talkable, a leading referral marketing platform for top consumer brands. He has an educational background around politics and failed governments, and his areas of expertise today include Ethereum, NFTs, and the decentralized web. Last time, a faulty internet connection in the Bahamas stopped us from conducting the live. However, he is back in beautiful San Francisco, and we are going live. So welcome, Brad, to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that fantastic introduction. And sorry, I was partying in the Bahamas and held everybody up last time.
Hey, listen, you seem to have a good time. Everybody seemed to have a good time in Bahamas, but they do need to build out that internet connection, that's for sure. So before anything, the market, as we talked about a little bit before, is in turmoil, but we'll get to that. Before anything, talk more about yourself. Can you tell us more of your origins and how you came to start Unstoppable Domains?
Sure. So I'm an entrepreneur from Atlanta. Been starting companies since I was in college. Started in the real estate world, which seemed like the biggest market I had seen in that age. I was also studying politics, as you mentioned, international politics. Had a big interest in corruption and what was going on with governments around the world. And I was working on real estate companies, and then at one point sold a company, and had a little bit of like a what should I do with my life crisis at 24. So I went to grad school in DC for a few months, which was a totally silly idea. I dropped out soon after. Definitely didn't want a job or anything like that. Also just not a believer that politics could change anything. And so I was just kind of committed to, okay, I need to just, focus on future tech try to improve the world that way, and just kind of forget about political change, because it seems like almost like a little bit hopeless. So I moved to San Francisco to work with a good friend of mine on a company called Talkable Enterprise SaaS. Spent about 5 years working on that, growing that great company. Learned a ton about software and tech and how to build businesses. During that time, I was also living in this hacker house called 20 Mission in San Francisco. 40 people sharing one bathroom, kitchen, rave parties until 6 a.m. It was also a very early crypto hub. So there was a Bitcoin exchange that was launched in the basement of the building before Coinbase went live. There was a Bitcoin media channel that was launched in 2013. This is all 2013. I think 2014-ish, Vitalik gave a talk in our courtyard before Ethereum went live. A bunch of early crypto funds, the founders were there. So just like really, really, really strong crypto community. I read the white paper, started buying Bitcoin, went down the rabbit hole, became convinced this was the future. This was actually like what I saw crypto as like this potential solution to the political problems, to global corruption, like putting people back in control felt like a way that could actually make change in a way that the political industry just absolutely can't. They're like part of the problem. And so I became hopeful again, and didn't really know what I would do with that. I'm not really a finance person, so to speak. I've always been more interested in maybe like the more non-financial, I guess you could say, potential of crypto. And so I was just buying and going to meetups and hanging out with people, talking to a lot of crypto startups. And it wasn't until 2017 when the DApp ecosystem started getting built out and on Ethereum, and it became clear that you could like build these, these real non-financial applications on top of blockchains. That's why I got really excited. And Unstoppable was founded in January of 18 by a good friend of mine, Matt Gould, who I've started multiple companies with before, also from Atlanta. And I stepped back to the board of Talkable and started working on it soon after that.
Amazing. And your growth has clearly been quite immense. You guys are currently standing around 200 people worldwide. And it's impressive to see you grow. And it's an honor to work with you, as we will, of course, show in the show what we've accomplished together so far.
I think it's 150, but we'll be there soon.
150 plus, let's say. I thought it was around 200, but yeah, 150 is a sizable number, and I know you guys are making a good revenue and are providing an essential service, and I think that's really what's key in crypto, especially during these kind of market conditions where you see a lot of meme coins. I mean, clearly Luna and Terra and UST has also become a meme, but that is just over the past 48 hours. Prior to that, it was, seen as a quite serious endeavor. But how do you see these market conditions? You've been in Bitcoin, you've been in Ethereum and crypto for a very long time. What do you see out there happening in the market, and what's right and wrong with the approaches that people take right now?
I think it's really hard to figure out exactly where you are in the cycle, especially when you're in it. But crypto has these massive cycles, and you can go and read about it. There's an amazing blog post by Fred Eschrom that came out in mid 2021. I don't remember what it's called, but it has something to do something about crypto cycles, and it basically just explains them: 2011, 2013, 2017. And there's been this pattern of repeated mini booms and busts inside of crypto. And I don't think that means that there's really anything wrong with crypto. I think that's just humans get overexcited. Like, you just put a bunch of us together and we start doing something, and if it starts working, we get overexcited. We can't help ourselves. And I think this is just a feature of humans, and we've been doing this for thousands of years. I don't think we're going to stop. In crypto, approximately, we've been doing it every 4 years. And so it's very hard to time it perfectly or anything like that. But I think it's good to be aware that each time we figure out something new, we get overexcited, and then we reset, and then we go back to building, and then we actually earned the next growth cycle because the tech is better. And so 2013, it was, wow, Bitcoin's going to take over the world and be the payment mechanism for the world. And then it turned out that was totally not true, because Bitcoin can't handle that transaction volume. And so like that story was totally wrong. And everyone was like, oh, wow, maybe it's actually a lot worse than we thought. And then we started seeing all these new blockchains build up over the next cycle. And then we started seeing all these new tokens pop up. And everyone's like, I can make my own token and it's super easy. That's going to take over the world. And then we got overexcited about that. And then we crashed back down. And maybe this time we got overexcited about NFTs and, animal pictures. And there's
Cycling.
other things, but I think this is just like a human psychology thing. And each time it happens, it's marketing for crypto and it brings new people in, and we always come back higher than where we were before. So we're progressing, and I think we're like progressing in these like it's like up and then like those kind of like loop, but the general direction is up. It just has these loops, and it's a rocky ride. So like have that in mind. Like make sure that you're comfortable personally. Like don't leave all your chips on the table. Don't be super over leveraged. Like all that stuff can really just add stress to your life, and it's not worth it because like crypto assets go up by like 50x sometimes. So like, why do you need to lever up too? Like, why do you need to be a cowboy like that? Like, um, for me personally, that just feels like too stressful of a way to live. So that's my advice. Just be reasonable. Other people are going to get overexcited. Don't be one of the overexcited people.
And the word overexcited generates, of course, when we're in a bull market and we're reaching new all-time highs on every coin out there. But what we're seeing right now, I think, is the opposite, right? It's an over-anxious situation where over the last 48, 72 hours, with the collapse of the Terra ecosystem, essentially, and UST, the spillover of fear becomes so rampant that yes, Bitcoin gets affected, other quality coins get affected. Even USDT today depegged for a few hours and then got back up. But this notion of fear and greed, how has it evolved as you see it, and how does it continue to evolve in crypto?
So maybe this is the hardest part about crypto, I think, is that the majority of the time it is either going down or going sideways if you look at it across cycles. And then it goes way up over a short period of time. And apparently, and I am no expert at this, but apparently this is a pattern in other commodities as well. And it's kind of the opposite of stocks, where they spend most of their time going up and then go down over short periods of time during shocks. And so that means that crypto psychologically is like a way harder thing to deal with than stocks, because most of the time bad stuff is actually happening and it's a short period of time where it's super exciting. And so I think that's the really big like mental shift to get used to. And like during those down periods, like your family is like asking you why you're still working in crypto, and they're mad at you for suggesting they buy whatever coin before. Like it's a lot of stress on your life, and that's the majority of the time. And then there's this like short window of exuberance, and then we kind of go back again and go back to building. So yeah, psychologically, it's just a really weird industry to be in. And I think if you get used to the cycles and how they work, then it's much easier to just kind of figure out you know, what you should be doing personally and what you should be doing as a business. And oftentimes, I think those are actually quite similar. But yeah.
Fascinating. Both you and I have studied political science and the consequences of failed government policies. I personally believe that the underlying political message of freedom, sovereignty, and censorship resistant systems often gets overlooked around crypto and blockchain, and especially in favor of clearly profit and trading, which is the main driver of the industry. What made you pivot from political science to tech and Web3? And how does that background benefit you today and kind of permeate the culture at Unstoppable Domain?
Well, I was always motivated primarily by some sort of major. Uh, I mean, I'll use this word like revolutionary change in the world, not like changing governments, but um, trying to have some sort of massive change, because I think that the way that systems work today are not good. And I think the in general what happens with most governments are really just like a collection of a bunch of businesses that they just kind of like randomly run or partially run or whatever. And we know that when you don't have competition, then you create bad businesses. And so we just have these like really, really bad businesses controlling these massive, massive markets and making it really, really hard for us to move forward as a species. And I became a little bit hopeless about that problem after studying I went to grad school in DC for a few months, dropped out soon after, realized that like there was no positive change happening there, and didn't really see a solution. But when I saw crypto for the first time, I thought, from a philosophical perspective, that this could actually be a solution. And I think it's sort of like early on, I feel like most crypto people were motivated by the philosophy. Like that would be more common. There wasn't enough money yet, so money couldn't be a big enough answer yet, I guess. Super early on, there were some people, but I would say it was most people. It was philosophy. And now that the market has gotten bigger, I think it's like most people are money driven. And then I think over the longer term, when we really succeed, it's going to be most people are focused on the utility. Like they don't like it's just like they're using it and it's good, and that's it. And I think that'll be the win when the most people are thinking about utility, not philosophy or financial gain. But I think financial where the philosophy is really important is in how the systems are built in the first place. And you mentioned like how does it relate to Unstoppable? Unstoppable believes that users should own uh, their data, users should own their identity, their digital lives. That should be theirs, not owned by companies. And that is a principle that we uh, have baked into the product everywhere. So, like, you will always be able to own your domain name, which is like your digital identity, completely free and clear, no renting, no ability to take it away, nothing, because we think that's core to users to resetting the power structure. And it's not really about governments in this context. It's really about companies. Like, I'm not concerned about governments in particular. I'm concerned about organizations that uh, restrict people's freedom around the world. And those are social media companies, those are governments, those are all sorts of groups are uh, in the way of our free markets right now. And I think if we can put users completely in control, we can reset that. It's just a gigantic reset button, and then we can rebuild all sorts of businesses, all sorts of internet infrastructure. So that is a very core principle of what myself and what Matt believes and what Unstoppable believes. And I think that's the reason why it's going to be built well. So I think philosophy is really important at the company level because it needs to be future proofed. Like it needs to be solving the problem completely so that this can actually provide an alternative. And if the philosophy is not right, it's not going to be a good enough alternative. So I think that's where philosophy plays in. Um, I don't feel like people need to be philosophically motivated. Everyone needs to be philosophically motivated to use the product. I hope they are. Like, but I think one thing I realized about early crypto community was philosophy was not enough for people to change behavior. Maybe we wish it was, but I now believe that it's not enough. I think it's enough to make me want to go and spend 90 hours a week and do nothing but this to make this change in the world. But that is not going to take. That is not going to be the reason why the next billion people change. Change their behavior. Yeah, because they don't have the same incentive that I do there. I need to just make their lives better. Um, so yeah, long answer, but
No, beautiful answer, and it's a very noble mission, and kind of pivots into to the next topic, which is unstoppable domains. There might be people, viewers live or post production that have no idea what you guys are doing. And essentially, can you tie into, first of all, what is Unstoppable Domains? But what kind of tools and features are you providing to your users and to future users to have these kind of freedom tools and kind of get out of those shackles of big tech and other companies holding their data and holding their lives?
So we build domain names which are NFTs, and they're like they're an identity, like an NFT that you store and own in your wallet. And it's kind of like your username for Web3, and it works across all of your apps and all of these different use cases. So I can go into Clever Wallet and I can send money to Brad.crypto. That's my domain name. No need to send tips or anything like that. But I can also go into Coinbase Wallet and I can type in Brad.crypto or any other wallet or exchange in our ecosystem. And so it's kind of like this, it's like your Venmo handle, but it works everywhere. Um, it also works as a way to verify all of your different social handles, to verify any other. It's like a bottom up identity. I can go and point it to all of this different information about myself, and then in the future, what's going to happen is I'm going to be interacting with a username plus a digital profile that's controlled by that user, and I'm going to know things about them without them having to expose their data. They could say that they're a person who's from this place, who's this age, but they don't want to tell me who they are. They still want to stay private. They want to prove that they have greater than 2,000 Twitter followers, and therefore they should be given some special reward, but they don't want to expose what their handle is. So it's a user controlled username plus a user controlled digital profile. People are mostly using them right now for sending and receiving crypto and for logging in and authenticating into dApps, and then being able to share private data, off chain data. And so it's got a lot of uses. It's sort of like this magic username that's going to do hundreds of different things for you. That's going to replace your email address and your phone number and your payment handles and all of this stuff that you use today. You've got dozens of these things. This can replace all of that, and it's controlled by you, which means your data can be controlled by you too.
Essentially, giving back control through Web3 tools and blockchain technology and NFTs into the hands of the user and not into the hands of big tech. This is one of the reasons that we love to work with you, because we share the same values. And let's talk a little bit about the partnership between Clever and Unstoppable Domains. Our tech teams have been working jointly for months to enable an enjoyable and native in-app integration of Unstoppable Domains platform into Clever 5, our new generation wallet currently in open beta. We're going to play a short clip, and then after you can give your comments and explain to our audience why having such a seamless integration in a wallet used by millions is important for your mission, making decentralized web simpler and more accessible to all. So, Warren, play the clip. Love it. Oh, there we go.
So
Thoughts? And
yeah,
yeah, please do give us the brief.
Yeah, so I think there's two key things here. One is simplifying sending crypto inside of Clever. So now you can send to someone's domain name, to someone's username, instead of having to send to their crypto addresses. And you don't need to ask them what their Bitcoin address is anymore. This works for sending all cryptocurrencies that Clever supports. So you can have one domain name and send to any cryptocurrency. This is just like, I think, a core piece of user experience that has to exist for crypto to go mainstream. Um, and I think the most natural thing to do is to get a wallet and then get a domain name. And so the other thing that Klever has done is made it easy for people to get domain names directly from inside Klever. And I think this experience is key. Wallets are where crypto users are, and we think that that's the superpower is putting a wallet plus a domain name together. And you all made it super easy for people to do that. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. Our philosophy is quite different from most crypto and tech companies in the blockchain space. They see their wallet infrastructure as an extension to their product, whether that's an exchange, a game, or app, and so on. We see it completely opposite. We see all our products and all our partners' products as extension to our wallet. So, like you talked about, like almost this killer app, right? Like to have something that is the kind of foundation for everything that happens inside of the ecosystem and just tying it back in together. So yeah, kudos to your tech team and kudos to Vitor, who's leading our wallet team, who worked together for a very long time to make this experience as enjoyable and in terms of user experience, what do you see different from the Clever integration compared to others?
It's just very intuitive and seamless. When you click through, it's just very simple. And I think that this is the most important thing, because crypto has inherent complexity, transactions getting approved and wait times and all sorts of things like that. So I think everything else just needs to be seamless. Besides the things that you kind of know are part of crypto networks. Um, so yeah, it's great. Yeah,
Easy.
yeah. Thanks again to your team.
Yeah, thanks to your team. Looking forward to lots of exciting stuff in the coming months. I want to talk and pick your brain a little bit about the centralized storage being used today on Web 2, essentially, and your future vision of decentralized storage and how the Unstoppable Domains platform works in terms of, whether IPFS and so on, and how do you solve that major riddle in tech of providing decentralized storage that even, for instance, if Unstoppable Domains one day, Khas Khalila, as we say in Hebrew and in Arabic, is if you guys wouldn't work in 10 years, will my domain name still be there? And how does that work in terms of centralized and decentralized storage?
Yeah. So the nice thing is, your domain name, your username, is an NFT that's on the blockchain. We mint on Ethereum, and now we mint on Polygon. So regardless of what happens to Unstoppable, your domain name is still in your wallet forever, so long as the blockchains are good and secure, which I'm reasonably confident about. So that's the good thing is that we've made the infrastructure really just the blockchain itself as like the core thing that you need. And then what Clever's doing is, so I, as the user, sign a message with the private key that controls the domain name, and then I add information to my domain name. And then Clever goes and looks up on the blockchain, looks up my domain name on the blockchain, and then finds that information. And that's how they find my Bitcoin address or whatever. So Clever does not rely on Unstoppable Domains in order to do this. They rely on the blockchain. And so that is core infrastructure. Now, you talked about decentralized storage. Decentralized storage is a very, very hard problem. From the domain names perspective, all it's doing is pointing the domain name to content. So you can point your domain name to 20 different storage networks. And so the way that we view it is, um, we're sort of the username, the domain name is sort of like your onboarding point to Web3. And we want to provide a lot of different storage options for you. We want to be a marketplace essentially for decentralized storage options. So you're going to see multiple providers that we support depending on what's going on. We're really agnostic about tech in general. We kind of want to support everything, multiple blockchains, multiple storage networks. Like we want to just provide users with options. So yeah, there's IPFS, and there's going to be many others. There's also going to be some ways to store some data on your own device, so you're not even using one of these things. there's going to be a lot of different. Some people are storing data encrypted on traditional web servers for now. Um, the thing that is really important, we think, is that if the user is in control of the username at its core, they can always make updates. So no matter what happens on all of these off-chain networks, if they always have the username, they can always just update it. And so, even if a storage network goes down, even if IPFS goes down or something like that, there's not enough nodes to support it, then go point it to something else. So I think that from a power structure perspective, like that's the thing that we needed to make sure was in the hands of the users. And then decentralized storage is going to develop over time. And it is early days there. Yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about your philosophy and your values of being agnostic and blockchain agnostic, it really resonates with us because I mean we support 22 different blockchains. We work with literally everyone that we find have legitimate and useful utility in terms of their applications and their products. So I believe we share a lot in common, Unstoppable Domains and Clever. And your vision is to bring censorship resistant internet to everyone in the world. Can you tell us more about your mission and why enabling protection against censorship is so important for you and your team?
Yeah, well, I think people get this a little bit confused. The thing that's really important is consumers having ownership of their identity, ownership of their data, and their censorship resistance is a feature of that. But it's really because users need to be able to move around and use whatever apps they want and not be locked in. They need interoperability. Users need a more flexible system that can work for more things, and users also need to not be able to be stopped because those other things wouldn't work. And they also need to get the financial benefit. Like right now, Facebook gets the financial benefit of my activities online, not me. And so that's why I think this consumer ownership is important. A lot of people ask us, well, like, if I'm not worried about getting censored, why does this tech matter? And the answer is ownership provides you with these new features: interoperability, the ability to gain financially, new features and better tech. It's like those are the reasons that every user on the planet is going to use this. There will be some people who will use it for censorship resistance, and that's great. But that's probably not the 90% use case. That is just a core feature of all crypto tech. Like the only way to have, and the way that I think about it is that it's more about security. If you have a third party, you don't have security. You have to trust that third party. If Twitter stores your data or your identity, then Twitter can get hacked. And then Barack Obama and Elon are tweeting out the same Bitcoin scam. And that's because you had to trust Twitter. And that's not secure. What's secure is using a blockchain. So I think that there's a practical reason here too. And I think we describe ourselves as sort of pragmatic revolutionaries. This is like our kind of like our term internally. Um, and so you'll hear that a lot. Like there's a philosophical reason and there's a practical reason in almost all of my answers.
Fascinating. Yeah, it really permeates the values that you clearly came with prior to starting Unstoppable Domains. It really goes through everything that you do in your business. And the SSO, the single sign-on, you touched upon it a little bit, but can you talk more about the vision for that SSO? How far have you come to enable it through your services, and what are your future plans about this, in my opinion, major use case for blockchain?
Yeah, so this is going to kind of blow people's minds, but there's going to be a whole bunch of data that is never going to go on chain. And the way that it's going to get verified is by third party experts. Third party experts already exist in the world. Your doctor is an expert on your health, your university is an expert on your degree, Twitter is an expert on what your username is. So we are building out a way for users to be able to grant permissions to apps and then share either data about themselves or proof of data. And so the way this works is you log into a DApp, your domain name, there's like a login with Unstoppable button. Um, and then it pops up a little, series of things like, do you want to share your contact information? There's going to be a series of things that the app asks you, and you're able to give permissions. And the reason you would do this is for some sort of reward, benefit, or access. So, for example, you can prove that you're a unique human without telling the app who you are. You can just say, hey, I'm a unique human, but I want to tell you who I am. I'm a unique human with greater than 2,000 Twitter followers, but I want to tell you what my username is. And we think that this is going to be the way that users and apps interact with each other uh, in order to get rewards, message each other, user experiences, etc. We think this is like the communication layer between users and apps on the internet, and that's why we think it's so important. And the username, the domain name, is this great tool for that. Um, so yeah, that's why we're so focused on it. We've built humanity check so far, and which is this way to say that you're a unique human, and share that with apps. And then we've also built like a profile where you're able to attach all these different social media handles, and that's where we started. But eventually, it's going to be academic credentials and healthcare and all sorts of things that you're going to be able to prove about yourself without having to expose the data. And I think that's going to be a really, really big piece of the way Web3 develops. And right now, it's all about on-chain badges, and on-chain badges are cool. Like I have a POAP, or I have this NFT of this animal, and it signifies this. All of that is great. On-chain badges are important, but it's not the whole picture. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to want to be able to transfer, a lot of information we're going to want to be able to transfer privately, or just proof of information. And the blockchain itself is not really where that's likely to happen.
So there's very relevant discussion going on now that Elon Musk is taking over Twitter. Let's see that the deal will go through. But one of the major reasons, publicly at least, he states, is because of spam bots, right? And this, like, how can you prove that you're human, and can you get some kind of check mark? And Michael Saylor has this idea that everybody should send 10 sats or something like that and get an orange check mark because he's completely orange pill, and he doesn't see beyond the borders of Bitcoin, which I respect, and he's an amazing spokesperson for that purpose. But is there any way to utilize the tech that you were just talking about in verification of humans on a platform like Twitter and other use cases?
I think it's like perfect use case. Yeah, I think that the most use cases are probably going to be around a verified social network, so that you can get rid of bots, and being able to reward users in a way like rewarding new customers. Like there's no new customer offers in crypto right now, because you don't know if it's one person, one wallet, or one person, 100 wallets. And in Web2 world, growing companies are spending all of their time and money trying to acquire new customers. In crypto, we're giving out airdrops to existing customers, which is more like loyalty points, more like for existing customers. So I think those are like the two main things, like incentivizing new customers and verified social networks. So yeah, Elon, call us up. I mean, I think we have a solution.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure he seems to be a person who likes to listen to experts. So let's hope that he's open to ideas and listening to the wider crypto community, and not just Michael Saylor, because this is a very interesting use case for sure.
We were very excited when we saw that announcement. Like I think, I mean, we completely agree that is the problem. And Facebook, I think, deletes something like 2 billion fake profiles per year, out of a user base of like 4 billion. So I mean, it's like the whole problem on the internet. Like like election gets hacked in 2016, it's a bunch of fake bots. Like this is like, there's kind of two problems. There's the bot problem, the curation problem, and then there's like the free speech problem. Like so, there's like fake news on one side, and then there's like free speech on the other, and they're both problems. Like you gotta fix both of them. in order to have a functioning marketplace of ideas. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's exciting times that it looks like some of these systems might actually are about to get improved.
So let's talk a little bit about upgrades and new technology. With the long list of available blockchains that you guys have on unstoppable domains, you can send to BTC, ETH, Polygon, and many others. How does future upgrades and forks affect domains? Essentially, how do you evolve with the market and the emergence of new technologies?
So, from the sending money perspective, it's easy for us to support essentially every blockchain. So, you're going to be able to send any cryptocurrency using any of our domains, and that's just the way it should work. That's the simplest, easiest way for users. The thing that is more of a decision for us as a company is where do we actually mint the domain names, and where we mint the domain names is separate from which cryptocurrencies you can send. Doesn't matter where we mint. We mint on Ethereum, we mint on Polygon, maybe we mint some other blockchain in the future. Doesn't matter. All those domain names, you'll still be able to send every cryptocurrency to every domain name. So you as a user are going to care a little bit less about that. But the big vision is to be on multiple blockchains and to have bridges so that users can move them around across blockchains. And the reason that they might do that is because they prefer certain wallets over others, or they prefer to access certain liquidity pools on certain blockchains. And so I think the future is um, your domain name can live on multiple blockchains, but that's really kind of like a power user use case. If you're just using it to receive money and using it as your digital identity, probably not going to care that much, especially if you're using something like Klever, which is already going to be supporting all these chains anyway. So um, yeah, that's kind of the short version is it's cryptocurrency agnostic. You're going to be able to send any crypto to it.
You're speaking of digital identity, and one of the core functions of a blockchain is that you can send any kind of transaction relatively anonymously with quite high level of privacy. How does that go together with essentially making it, Misha.crypto or Brad.eth? Like, how does that kind of doxing work? And do you see also some users being like, okay, I don't want to use unstoppable domains because then I will dox myself, and I actually prefer to have my privacy? Or how do you balance between that?
Well, so if you're talking about, I mean, it all depends on how you. So there's definitely public use cases like social media, and you do see a lot of users that are intentionally public. Um, that's one set. There's another set that wants to be pseudo anonymous, and having the username is still better. So like if you like for example, if you wanted to, um, the domain name already lives in your crypto wallet address is already public on all these blockchains. So the domain name is not doing anything new there. Unless you identify your first and last name as the owner of the domain name, which you can do with your wallet address anyway. So it doesn't default do anything different. But longer term, what I think people are likely to do is they're likely to have private communication channels where they're able to share one-time addresses and things like that. So I do believe that longer term, you're going to see everyday users, for the most part, sending with more private means than the way that all crypto transfers work today. And I think the way that all crypto transfers work today is more public than the way most internet users are likely to want to transact. And that's really just a UX problem, not a core tech problem. I think there's actually already some solutions that could enable this, and maybe this is something for us to talk about roadmap wise, because it is actually technically possible, um, but um, but would need to become more popular across wallets for it to be easy. So it's possible, but not easy. What some people are doing is they're using the private coins, like Monero and others, which you can tie to domain names. If you want something today, those are really the best, the simplest answers.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Monero, Zcash, there are other privacy options out there, but in terms of doxing yourself and getting out there and becoming part of that digital Web3 world, as you say, you don't need to put your name there. You can just put any kind of username that you're freely obliged to give out. When you choose different domain names, you guys have .crypto, .nft, .888, .eth, .zil, so on. What makes you decide or select the domain extension options that users can buy or register?
So we have, and by the way, we don't have .eth, but we do have the rest. We we think that there's going to be a handful of top domain endings in the future Web3 world, and we want to provide those. And so we think, just based on demand so far, .nft, .x, .wallet, and .crypto are probably the strongest. And I think all of those have the potential to be top domain endings in the world. We also think that there's going to be lots of these for different communities, and we think the community should have them too. So there needs to be a reason why a particular one is going to exist in the market and have a really strong community around it. But that's really what we were looking for, was what are the things that are going to have really strong communities around them, and that's how we that's how we selected them. The goal is really more. The goal for us is users. Get more domains in the hands of users, and you're going to see us incentivizing people. People like to own lots of them, so giving out a free one to every crypto user would be great. Like I think that's going to be a piece of the journey. So it's not really about the domain endings beyond getting the things that we think are super have super strong communities around. It's about just getting domains in the hands of people. So that's really what we're focused on.
Interesting. When we, take this step into a more profound digital ownership, trademarks are also and copyrights are also part of the discussion. How do you trademark NFT domains, and is it becoming popular, or is that even an option?
You mean I don't know, what do you mean? How do you mean exactly?
Like for instance, trademark holders with proof of ownership can apply
Yeah.
to claim ownership of trademark names. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, how does that work with trademarks in unstoppable domain?
So the way I think it works, is the same way it works in in the traditional world. Like, there is a marketplace, and there are brands and intellectual property, and just because you're on a blockchain does not mean that those rules go away. And I see this as sometimes unpopular on Twitter, and I would just like to say to everybody, uh, I'm sorry. Intellectual property is a good thing. It helps move business forward. And it is impossible for crypto companies to move forward without abiding by existing intellectual property. And this is the reason why, when you see people copying other people's work on OpenSea, that NFT gets hidden. Um, that's the only way for companies to operate. There will be no decentralized anarchy, everyone gets to steal each other's intellectual property future. That would be a bad thing. Um, so we think that protecting brands has been a really important way to get companies on board. First of all, if we didn't do it for crypto companies, then no crypto company would be able to have their domain name, because somebody would have registered it. Because this is everyone's first thought, is to go and try to snag some brand's name. So you have to do this
Sell it.
proactively. Yeah, you have to do this proactively in order for companies to even be able to participate. Um, and so we blocked, I think, maybe more than 1 million associated with companies and popular individuals who have the same problem. And the thought is, we're giving them away for free. And the thought is, we just want to make it easy for these people to be able to participate in Web3. And if they show up in 2023 or 2024, instead of 2019 or 2020 or 2021 or whatever, that's fine. This is a long journey, but we just wanted to make it easy for them to do that. And yeah, and I think it's kind of, it's not good if you don't do that. It's a hard problem. You can't get everything. You know, you don't necessarily know everything that's out there. There are no good databases for this. This exists in the traditional domain world. There's a process for this, but it doesn't cover most brands. It really just
Mhm.
looks at, protecting, mostly large companies, and it's mostly based on like how likely are they to sue you, not how deserved is protecting their brand. So it's not really like, that's not the type of filter that we would like to provide. So we're trying to actually be more broad, than the existing system. And yeah, I think it's been a really good move for the company. We've had lots of big brands claim domains, lots of crypto companies that have been able to participate that otherwise wouldn't have. So yeah.
I think that's a great solution and an excellent approach in order to save those kind of domains for the people actually and the companies that use them. To our last question, what are some of the goals that Unstoppable Domains is looking forward to accomplishing the most in 2022 and beyond?
Good question. So I think for this year is really about increasing the number of people that have domain names. And so what we're doing with Klever is, core. That's core strategy. Get domain names into the hands of users primarily through wallet partners and DApp partners, and then increasing the number of places where you can use domains. And so, like, I mean, there's two parts to this. There's users that own their domains, and then there's apps that support domains. And so we're trying to add another zero onto both of those numbers. There's maybe like 150, maybe a little bit more apps so far that support the ecosystem, and there's maybe 300,000 users. Um, yeah, so we want to add a zero onto both of those.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, we're with you on the journey, and we're looking forward to the coming months ahead as we will be doing a lot more work together and building the future together. Thank you very much, Brad, for coming and sharing all of your experience and all your thoughts.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really was. And thank you, everyone out there, for tuning in, whether live or after the fact. And as we say here at Clever, your only limit is you.